Well, good morning, everyone. It's Joni here at Joni's Journals. How is everyone doing today? You can see I have my nice hot cup of coffee ready because I am a little bit sniffly. I think it's my allergies again. Well, what you see before you is a few hours of work from yesterday. And what it is what am I actually calling it? It is called, let's just make sure, a file folder Tri Fold Folio. So what we have is something that looks like this, and you can see it hasn't been put together yet, and there is a reason for that, because we are going to be decorating it. But we're going to be doing that in a separate video because this is going to be what I think is going to be a pretty lengthy video. So let's just get to what we need to get this completed. I'm going to put that aside. What you're going to need are 2 file folders, okay? These are standard size file folders for the US, and they are just about 11 and a half. It says 11 and 5/8, but I'm pretty sure it's only 11 and a half by, the whole thing totals in width, just about 9. Now, what I would suggest, because I think it ultimately will work out better, is if you get 2 file folders that have the tabs at the top or the bottom if you flip it around. But we want 2 with the ends, okay? We don't want a middle tab folder because that just isn't really going to work out too well. So that's all you're going to really need for now. I'm sorry, I bumped you already. I just feel like you're on a really weird angle. Let me see if I can get it. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. What you'll also need are a ruler and a cutting board or scissors if you don't have a cutting board, and a scoreboard or a ruler to bend at the edges where you're gonna have to score, and of course a score tool, and ink if you are gonna want to ink yours before we decorate it. So yeah, you're gonna need ink. I'm not gonna be doing inking on this video, but you can pretty much see that what I did was I inked all of the edges and the creases on the whole thing, and also on the pockets. Yes, this is going to be a pocket, and also on the little inside pieces. Now, I've been playing with the idea of adding some paper to this so that it could also be a journal. And if I decide to do that, I will do that in the coming up videos because, like I said, there will be more than one because we are going to be decorating it. And I'm going to show you the papers that I use to decorate it with afterwards, okay? My general idea with this was that we could make it a Christmas in July folio, or we could make it a Tim Holtz folio. So I'm going to explain all of that afterwards. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get out my cutting board, make sure that I'm set up so that you can possibly see what I'm doing. And I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, we are back, and I have my cutting board up as far as I can get it, but you should be able to see what I'm doing. I know my light is reflecting, and I do apologize, but I have no other way to do that. Okay, with your first file folder, what you're going to do is you're going to trim it to 7 inches, but you want to keep your tab, okay? So you're going to cut off this side. All right, so we're going to measure that to 7 inches, and now this may take a few passes for my blade to cut through, but we're going to cut off the end without the tab, okay? So let me just go through a few times at 7 inches and see if I can, yep, okay. Basically, I'm just gonna have to tear this a little. I'm sorry if I'm up your nose. And we're gonna put that piece aside, and we're going to put this piece back into our cutting board, because what we are going to do is we're gonna take and we're gonna cut off this piece because we don't need it, okay? So let's just get that done. And we're gonna cut all the way. Let me show you before I cut. You see that little curvy thing there? We're gonna cut right here. And hopefully this is going to come out to be the right size, because I do ultimately want to end up with 16.5 inches across. Okay, so we're gonna cut that piece off, okay? You can save this if you want to. I'm going to save it. I have a little scrap basket up there because we don't know if we might need some extra pieces, okay? We're gonna put this piece aside for now, right here. And that is going to be the outside of our folio, because we're gonna be scoring this, okay? Now on the inside of our folio, we have a small page and we have a big page. With the remainder of your first file folder, we're gonna create the small page, okay? Now, because we have, oh, I keep putting this aside. Let's just show you. We have 4 3/4 inches from this crease to this crease. So what we want to do is we want to cut our inside page to be 4.5 inches wide. But we want to retain the little part. I don't know if you can see, this is the part with the pre-made score marks. This section, we want to retain that. So what we're going to do is we are going to get all of this stuff out of the way. I've told you this before. I have a 13-foot long desk and I still don't have enough room. What we're going to do is we're going to take our score marks and we're going to score them on the outer scores. So you have this. That's going to leave you with, I believe it was 3/4 of an inch. Leave you with about a 3/4 of an inch spine, which is going to fit perfectly into our little folio. Now what I'm going to do, just so maybe this might make it easier for you, I'm just going to ink this. Whoops. If I can find, yes. Okay, I'm just going to ink these marks and it might be easier for you to see. Okay, and I'm using Vintage Photo Oxide. And that's what I use to ink all the edges on my other little folio. Okay, we're going to put that aside for now. So now you can see a little bit better. And you have 2 more score marks in here. Now what you are going to do, and this was the easiest way that I could figure out to do it, you're going to line this score mark up at the 4.5 inch mark. So that's right there, okay? And we're going to just line that up. And we're going to hold it like so, okay? Make sure it's straight. And we're going to cut, okay? Keep this piece. Then we're going to do the same thing. See, we cut off here. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to line up that score mark, okay, at the 4.5 inch mark, right here. So there's my 4.5 inches. And then making sure it's straight and getting this flip piece out of the way. This is the most awkward thing, but this was the only way that I could figure out to do it. If you guys can figure out a better way to do it, go for it. So now you have your little 4.5 inch centerpiece, which is this, okay? And you can see I've rounded all my corners. That's your choice. If you like sharp corners, keep sharp corners. I don't really care for the sharp corners, okay? Now to get all of our cutting complete, remember, this came out of one file folder. We are going to take our second file folder, okay, which is this one. And this one is going to get cut to 6 3/4 inches. Now again, keep your little tab, okay? You'll see why in the end, after I've cut it down. You'll see why. If I can get it to work right, it may take a little, what do you call it? Thinking here and there. We're going to use this part with the tab to make our one pocket. Now, I accidentally did it yesterday because it was part of a piece that I had left over. And I was like, oh, well, that'll be really cool if we have one pocket that has a little tab on it. And again, I kind of have to just tear this, but you can see it still comes out straight. Okay, put this piece aside, because what you are going to do is you're going to take this piece and we're going to make it another 4.5 inch wide piece to be the center of our folio, and that would be the taller page, okay? And again, I'm going to ink these edges for you, just so you can see where your little 3/4 inch spine is, okay? I'm hoping you're seeing that. It's an awkward angle. So once again, you're going to take and you are going to line up this edge at the 4.5 inch mark. All right? And we're just going to make sure it's straight. Make sure it's on 4.5. And we are going to cut. Okay? Keep this piece. Okay? This is going to be our pocket. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it over. And you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to line up this edge at the 4.5 inch mark. Okay. This is a little fiddly working around the tripod. Okay. 4.5 inches. And then you are going to cut again. Okay. We're going to take this little pocket piece and I'm going to save it over here. All right, so now you have your smaller inner page and your larger inner page, okay? Now, I'm saying pages because I haven't really decided what we're going to do with these. And they're both just about 4.5 inches wide because give or take here or there, we're always off by a smidge, all right? Now, I'm going to get rid of my cutting board and I'm going to come back. We're going to need our scoreboard. I'm using my 12-inch one because it just works out better. So I will be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. And I have made an error that I have now corrected, but I do want you to know what happened. Now, I don't know if, because I'm taking my husband's file folders, and he buys file folders all the time. And so I don't know if it's because of an inconsistency, but when I checked the measurement of my old file folder to the one that we trimmed together, there is a little bit of a discrepancy in the width of the tab, and there was also a discrepancy in what was left over after we cut off the edge that didn't have the tab on it. So this is what I'm going to tell you to do. You can see I made a little pencil mark here because I don't have an extremely long ruler. You want this whole piece, not including the tab, you want from this edge to this edge to measure 16.5 inches, okay? So just in case it happens to you like it happened to me, and I'm going to show you, I had to cut off a little bit at the edge here, and you can just see there's a little bit of a pencil mark. You want this piece from here, not including the tab, to here again, to be 16.5 inches, okay? So you can see, oh, did I screw it up? I think I screwed, no, okay. I didn't screw it up. That was my old measurement. So this is 12 to here. And then you want to make sure, let me erase this pencil mark so no one gets really confused. But I caught it and I just wanted to tell you guys. So this mark to here is 12. And from that mark to this edge right here is another 4.5, which makes 16.5 inches, okay? So please be sure that you measure yours, okay? I apologize, but like I said, I didn't realize these must be two different kinds of file folders. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your scoreboard and you're going to take the piece that does not have the tab, okay? You're going to put that to the side. You're going to take the 16.5 inch edge and you're going to put that up at the top, okay? Like so. And then what you are going to do is you are going to score at 5, like that, okay? And then you're going to score at 6. Okay, this is going to give us our little binding edge where our file folder Tri Fold Folio is going to bend over. Now you are going to take it and you're going to put the edge with the tab along the side of your scoreboard, like so. And you're going to push it up to the top very carefully, making sure you have it straight. I know this is a little bit weird, but it's going to come out to be something kind of cute. Okay, so you do have your little tab up against there and your 16-inch edge up against the top there. And now what you're going to do is you're going to score at 5 1/4, okay? 5 1/4, and again at 6 1/4, because once again, this is going to make our little 1-inch binding for our, I'm going to shorten the name, we're going to call it a Tri Fold Folio, okay? So now you have your scores starting at your tab side at 5 1/4 and at 6 1/4, and on your side without the tab, you have your scores at 5 and 6. All right, so now we're going to fold this and cross our fingers that it came out right. Here's the tab side. Okay, we're going to fold here like so, and then we're going to fold here. That's the 5 and the 6. I think it's going to work. Okay, is it going to work? Yes, it's going to work. Okay, guys, we're in good shape. And then we're going to score at the 6 1/4. And then we're going to score at the 5 1/4. Okay, so now when your folio folds up, it's going to look like this. We did it, okay? And your tab's going to hang over a little, but that's kind of cool because this way you can flip your folio open. All right, we are done with that part. Oh, I forgot to cut the pockets. I do apologize. Okay, I'm going to put away my scoreboard and I'm going to come right back and we're going to cut our pockets. I am so sorry, guys. I knew I was going to screw something up. All right, I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. And I do have the big Jagunda cutting board back out. All right, we're going to cut our pockets, okay? We're going to cut them both at 3.5 by 4 3/4 because that's what's going to fit inside the center fold of our folio and what I am calling the back flap, which is actually the right-hand side flap, but I'm calling it the back flap, okay? Now, you have your little piece, which still has your tab on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take it, and you're going to take this flat edge here, and you're going to line it up on your cutting board to 3.5, okay? And you're going to cut, okay? And I did forget to cut our bindings too, so yeah, okay, here I am big and bad thinking I got everything cut. All right, and then you want it to be 4 3/4, so it's 3.5 deep. The tab makes it a little bit longer, but we're worried about this part here. And we want it 4 3/4 inches long. Keep your tab over on the right and cut, keep your tab over on the left and cut on the right. Okay, so now we're going to trim it to, let me check again because that's the way this is going, 4 3/4. Put that aside. So now you have your pocket that will fit on this side, okay? Like so, okay? If you want to put yours in the middle, you could do that too. I liked mine here so that when you flipped it out, you saw something really kind of cool. That's our first pocket. Now our second pocket, we are going to cut from, well, I guess we'll use this piece here. Okay. We want it to be, I'm going to cut this edge off here. That's the edge without the tab, okay? We want to make a straight edge is basically what we want to do. And because we're working with a big piece here, we just kind of maneuver it so that we can make it the right length and width. All right, so we're going to cut it to 4 3/4. Okay, you can see right here is 4 3/4. All right, I'm going to cut it like that. Okay, and we're going to put this piece aside because, like I said, we will have scrap, but we're going to need that piece too. Okay, so we have it at 4 3/4, and now we're going to trim it to 3.5. All righty, like so. So now we have our two pockets, 3.5, 4 3/4. Now what you need is you have to create your little binding for your edges, okay? And by that I mean I reinforced my bindings here, my spine. I've been calling them bindings and the word just finally popped into my head. Oh, I'm getting old. So what I did was I created a piece that is 3/4 of an inch wide by 7 inches high because that's the height of our folio, okay? Now, I have this big fancy cutting board from Tim Holtz, and for the life of me, I can't figure out where 3/4 of an inch is. And also on this edge, it has taken me some practice to kind of figure out where 6.5 inches is. So I have to use my ruler, okay? So I am going to take my ruler and I'm going to put it to the side here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this excess piece that we still have left over from our second file folder, and I'm going to trim off the rounded edge. I'm cutting right here at that little funny corner there. Okay, like so, because I don't want that piece. And then I am going to trim this piece here to 6 3/4 inches. So I'm going to have to slide everything over a little. Okay, so now we're going to trim to 6 3/4 inches, like so, which I am able to measure because there is a clear line. Okay, and we've got that. Now keep your scraps, okay? Now what you need to do is cut off a piece that's 3/4 of an inch wide. I can't figure out 3/4 of an inch on my cutting board, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to use my ruler and I am going to mark at 3/4 of an inch, okay? Grab my pencil, 3/4 of an inch. And then I want to do it again. So 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to make a mark there. Now I am going to cut my little spine pieces off. Okay, I'm going to line them up in my cutting board best as I can. Now if you have this cutting board, there's a pointy piece here, and that will basically tell you where the slot is that you're cutting at. And of course I missed it completely. So we're going to do the second one. And if it's not exactly 3/4 of an inch, that's okay. All right, let's try and get that straight. And I'm going to push down, and I'm just going to cut. All right, so they're off by a little. They may not both be exactly 3/4 of an inch. If they are, I'm going to be amazed. And they are. How funny is that? They may not be 3/4 of an inch exactly, but they're both the same size. Let's just, for grins and giggles, see. Oh my goodness, we got it, guys. They're 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay, these are your little binding pieces, okay? I am going to put away this cutting board. We are going to come back and we are going to just sum up what we have so far. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. This was our original file folder that I made as my prototype with my outside, my inside pages, and my 2 pockets, okay? And my little bound spines. I'm just going to close that up. And I am going to show you that even though it was a little bit bumbly, we accomplished it, gang. We have our Tri Fold Folio, our outside folio, our 2 little spines, which we'll glue down together. Just, I don't want you guys to get confused. Our 2 pockets, one for there, and one for there, and everything fits. Wow, I'm so proud of myself. Okay, and our inner spine, which may or may not, our inner pages rather, which may or may not get some papers added to them. We did it. Oh, so like I said, just remember, you want your, I'm going to put these pieces aside. That's our 2 pockets and our inner pages. You want your piece to ultimately be from this flat edge here. Do not include the tab. From this flat edge here to this flat edge here, you can see my little pencil mark. You want 16.5 inches across, okay? That is the way my measurements are designed. I do apologize for the goof ups before, but like I said, I'm stealing file folders from my husband, which I always do, but I don't know if he consistently buys the same kinds of file folders, okay? What we are going to do now, I am going to ink the interior edges of my little folio here, only because I want you guys to see exactly what I'm doing. So again, I'm using my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide, and I'm going to ink on our little edges. I'm also going to explain something to you once I get that done. I'm going to ink that one, and I'm going to ink this one. And let's see, let's get that. And then I'm going to grab out my PVA glue, all right? And we're going to glue in our spines. But what I want to explain is, probably most of you are saying, yeah, but Joni, you have this little flippy floppy bit and it keeps flopping over. Once we decorate this, we're going to be adding paper, scrapbook paper, or Tim Holtz backdrops to it, and this piece is going to go away. It's going to become more stable. Take my word for it. I've done it before. It will hold it flat and stable, and you won't have any flippy floppies. All right. Now, I didn't do it on my other one, but I'm also going to ink the edges of my little spine reinforcer here. Just because I realized that it will probably show through. Because what I'm going to do, and I haven't decided if I'm brave enough to do it on camera, is once I decide whether or not I'm going to add papers to this, I've been thinking of doing some coffee dyeing. I have some coffee that I saved that I also added some alcohol ink to color it. It's in a spray bottle. I added the alcohol ink because, of course, it has alcohol in it, and this way the coffee won't spoil. I might do some coffee dyeing on some paper while my family is not around. We are having 15 people for dinner tomorrow for 4th of July, and so I need to clean. All right, what we're going to do is we are going to take our little spine reinforcers and our glue, and this is like baby steps here, guys, but hang in there because I do want to show you something else. And we're just going to glue them down to our spines here. And I'm just putting a line of glue. Okay. And I am going to center it into my spine like so. And you can see it's smaller than the folder itself, but it's just there to kind of give us some beef for our little insert to kind of catch on to, okay? Because like I said, either way, whether I decide to add paper to it or not, we're still going to be sewing this in, okay? This is going to get sewn to this side, and we're going to sew it closer to the right-hand side of the spine so that we have a little room when we flip this piece over. So yeah, you kind of want it to be meaty. And then on this side, I'm not planning on sewing anything to it. Who knows, we might add some grommets to it just for grins and giggles, to, you know, maybe add something into our little folio. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in the planning stage, so I don't know yet. So we're going to reinforce this edge too. Okay, now you can, if you want to, I'm not going to do it on camera because you don't need to see me sitting here and doing this. I'm going to round these corners. I'm going to round this corner because I can. It's far enough away. Usually I have a hard time when I try to round on a file folder because the tab gets in the way. And I'm just going to press these edges down to help it stay closed. Okay, and I'm going to press these edges down and help it stay closed. It's so funny. I was watching Crafty by Tony the other night, and she was recreating the folio that she made for her Creep on June collab, which she is saving for Halloween. And I was watching her. Hers is something totally different. She added pages, and she added this, and she added that. I'm not doing that. I wanted to kind of keep it simple because my brain will explode. Rounding corners. I'm also going to round the two top corners of my center pocket, okay? And if I can, I'm going to try and round that corner. I don't know. I sometimes can't get, let's see if I can actually get it. No, see, I can't get it into my corner rounder. I might round it with a scissor. I don't know. But I'm also going to round these corners and all of the other corners on the interior pages. All right, but we will see what I do with that. I'll show you on the other one where I rounded. And then I'm just going to show you real quick what my plans are. See, I was able to round here. Rounded, 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 rounded. And this one, I trimmed with the scissor. Okay? Short and sweet. Don't want to bore you. Now, what I am planning on doing, and I'm going to bring out this Gigunda piece of paper. This is Elizabeth Craft Designs. If you go over, I know she was having a sale. I believe it was 60% off on the paper pads. It's Elizabeth Craft Designs. If I can link it, I'll try. This is her Christmas field notes. And you can see that there's a bunch of papers here that really don't look too Christmassy, but there are a few that are extremely Christmassy with Christmas designs and such. This is what I'm going to be using for my Christmas papers, okay? I have cut them out to fit the folio, and that's why I'm saying don't worry about this little flippy floppy because you're going to be covering it in paper. Now, in addition to that, I have also taken and I have cut up some of my Tim Holtz backdrops. I have used Volume 4 and Volume 1 for the papers for the Tim Holtz version of this. Now, what I'm going to let you know is, if you don't have 12 by 12 Tim Holtz papers, I do. I'm not using them for this. They are like becoming a rare commodity in my room, and so I'm saving them. The backdrops are readily available. I'm sure he'll come out with new ones. We have volumes 1 to 5 now. There's Christmas, there's Halloween. If you want to use your Christmas, Tim Holtz Christmas backdrops, you can do this. Now, the only thing about it is, in order to use the 12 by 12 paper pad, I did write it down this morning somewhere. For the Christmas papers, if you're using a 12 by 12 paper, you need 3, okay, to cut up to fill your whole little folio there. If you're using the Tim Holtz backdrops, which are only 6 inches by 10 inches, it's a shame to say you're going to need 13 of them, okay, which could be pretty cool in your eyes. You can grab quite an assortment of paper. And quite honestly, after I cut mine up, because they are such an odd size, I did end up with some relatively decent sized scraps, which we could use in the Tim Holtz journal. I mean, look at this. And we also have these strips. Now, this is something else I've been meaning to do, and I just got swept away with Creep on June. I learned from Crafty by Tony how to use these paper strips to make what looks like a torn edge on paper. And it's really cool. I hope to do a video of it, or I'm just going to tell you, go over and see Crafty by Tony. She did it. So these are the Gigunda amount of scraps I had left over from the 13 sheets of backdrops. But they are usable pieces, so don't feel bad. I was feeling terrible until I said, wow, I really have some usable pieces. These are the scraps I had left over from the 12 by 12 paper pads. And a couple of them are because I changed my mind and I decided to use a different sheet of paper. So, you know, either way, come see, come saw, you're going to have a ton of scraps left over, whatever papers you use. But if you want a Tim Holtz backdrops, Christmas or otherwise, you need 13 sheets because they're 6 by 10. The 12 by 12, you only need 3, okay? And these are all your scraps that are left over from both of your file folders, whether or not. Now, you have to realize this is from 4 file folders for me, and I did get rid of little bits like this. So, yeah, so that is just my letting you know what you're going to need if you want to decorate along with me. 13 backdrops, 3 12 by 12s, okay? What was I just going to say? I think that's it, okay? So like I said, if you want to round your corners, round your corners. And I will give you all of these measurements in the next video once we start to decorate, okay? So anyway, guys, I want to send you lots of love and big hugs. And please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And I apologize if this was a little bit bumbly. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment box below. I will link the Tim Holtz backdrop so you guys can get prepared beforehand. And I will try and link this, but let me show you one more time. It's Elizabeth Craft Designs, and it's Christmas Field Notes. She does have a website. It's elizabethcraftdesigns.com. Christmas Field Notes. Okay, and they were on sale the other day, so you might still be able to get them, but I will try to link it. Okay, guys? I'm going to say goodbye because my throat is getting dry from talking so much. All right, and I'll give you all these measurements next time, and it'll be so much easier then. Okay? Bye. See you soon.